here's my closing thoughts about each of these little experiments. Here I painted orange underneath the other colors, and you can see that wherever the orange was, the colors are quite muted and achromatic, but in this little window where there was just white paper, the colors are very different, especially the green. The green really stands out to me as being a color that looks unexpected, and so that's why I like doing paint underneath. This one right here was the one where I used just the pure red color. Love that red and pink color together, and also because the specific color I wanted just happened to be a split complementary, I get a nice true black there. I loved the corals that I could get, and I actually found it quite interesting, a lot of the colors that I could get with the orange and the green were in that more earthy range, but I was kind of a little bit surprised at how much I liked it together. So I also made, with just like the red, the pink and the orange, I made a little ombre and then I drew on it. And the nice thing about using a split complement is that you can get that black, and so you get a very, very dark, very neutral color by mixing all three of the colors together. And I liked being able to have that nice core, you know, that it automatically is the right black. There's different blacks, you know, but it's the right black for the orange, and it was fun to draw with it. So I also did that, where I put the orange underneath, and then I drew on top of it just with a mixture of all three paints. And here's my thoughts on the maximum contrast colorway, which was the color that I chose for maximum contrast was ultramarine violet, which is available from Winsor & Newton. And the nice thing about putting a color underneath is one of the things you can do is an ombre, where I've got it from very pale to quite dark, and it gives a feeling of the painting going into shadow or maybe dipping underwater, which is why I want to hold it this way, because to me it feels like everything is going underwater towards the bottom of the painting. And that sense of going underwater is just because I painted a purple ombre behind it, and so everything is getting shifted as it goes down to the bottom of the painting. Here I just used the violet all by itself, although I did let the other colors leak into it a little bit, and it's very interesting because that violet is the only color here that flocculates, so it's got a very different texture wherever the violet was. Even when the colors leak into it, that violet granulation makes the violet pop where it was set. And then when I mixed the violet with the ultramarine, not the ultramarine, I mixed it with the rose, the Quinacridone Rose, I noticed that I got a series of sort of bluishes and purplishes that were really similar to when I mixed the rose and the green blue shade, but the chromaticity of the colors was different, and I was very interested in those similar but different colors that you could get from those two spectra, and so I made this piece just to take advantage of it. So here on this side right here, this is the violet mixed with the phthalo green blue shade, and it's just a much more chromatic mix because those two colors are much closer to each other on the color wheel. And then the phthalo green blue shade and the Quinacridone Rose, they make a similar range of hues, but much less chromatic, much more like grayed out. And the combination of these two colors together is really beautiful. And this would also be really useful for shadows, because when you have a shadow on an object, not only does it get darker, it also gets less chromatic. So for example, this color would be a really great way to render a shadow of something that is this color, because not only is it a little bit darker, but it's also less chromatic. So that's a really interesting combination. And then when I mixed everything together, here's some things that I noticed. So here's the three pure colors by themselves, and they are indeed all very poppy next to each other. There's a lot of contrast between these three colors, and you can also get this pretty much pure black, so that's another advantage of doing a max contrast mix, is that you can always get that pretty much pure black. But what I really liked is I really liked the contrast between the green and the pink in this original mixture, and then I really liked that with the black that I could get from mixing all of them. So I did another little drawing. I got really into drawing people on top of my little backgrounds. The other thing that I liked about mixing all three of the colors together was just a huge range of purples. So there's like this purple, there's all sorts of purples, and each of those purples is very distinct. And so I thought it would be fun to do a little loose sort of experimental like flower cluster using all the different purples. So that was fun too. Bye bye.